Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Frosty Planet Pack DLC playthrough. Now the first thing we are going to do in this episode is take a look at those lockers. I'm not too worried about that carbon dioxide, because eventually everything's gonna flow down here, which is going to be fine. Right, once this is done, we're gonna rummage through there, and in the meantime we are going to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 our time to make an area for a rock crushing. Gonna need some wiring for that. Gonna wait for the oxalite to dissolve itself. And we got our first piece of polluted dirt, because obviously we've cleaned the toilet. Now this is gonna off-gas some polluted oxygen, but honestly, don't mind it at first. You don't need a compost, you don't need to do anything with it. You can just leave it on the ground there, it's not going to kill you. Got the telescope, supercomputer, skill scrubber and minipod. Perfect. We are going to go ahead and research something intermittently. Probably electrolyzers, because that's one of the first things we are going to build. And while that is getting done, I'm very inclined to just remove this wood pile. Yeah, we're just gonna deconstruct this because it's in the way. Because this is going to be where we place down our supercomputer. There's no real use to store wood in there. So supercomputer it is. Set it up with some power. We already have the level, or the skill, on pay to use it. Gotta make sure that Flox fawn, or that Flox is not getting pinned down into that granite tile, because that's gonna happen for sure. Also I want this at a priority, let's say 7, so all the food gets carried in there first. And right here in this area we are going to place down a rock crusher to make our first batch of metal. The only problem being you can't use cinnabar ore because that is transformed into mercury, and mercury has, let's say, very flexible properties. It comes out as a liquid, which is going to be useless if you want to place down automation wires with it. Okay, supercomputer is ready. Now the neat part about those ice liquefiers is the dupes are just going to use the water in here and put it in the supercomputer, so you don't even have to have a water pool nearby. This is really convenient. You're gonna... Okay, sure. You do that. And now you're magically, telekinetically building a rock crusher. Ah, classic Steve. Since we're sitting at only 9,000 calories again, we also want to open up a pathway in here. And get our hands on those shareberry plants. Oh, there's another mammoth. Nice. Also probably up here. So we can get access to all of these plants. Oh, there's even more. Nice. Perfect. We got the rock crusher done. Where did we have copper ore? Doesn't matter. We're gonna take some iron ore and, let's say, 10 operations. Who's gonna be my operator? Probably Lyra. Yep. That's fine. There's way too much carbon dioxide over there. We also have some carbon dioxide buildup down there. If there's too much carbon dioxide in your base, early on, before you have a way to deal with it, just dig a deeper hole. Now, it's not really pressing as of yet for me, so I'm not gonna do that. Also, my Alveo Vera seeds are kind of benefiting from the carbon dioxide being there, so we're gonna wait on that. But later down the line, you definitely want to deal with this. And since we are 100% relying on oxalite for our oxygen, we also always have to keep an eye on that, because as of right now, there's still enough oxygen in the base, but it's going to run out eventually. That's why we are going to prepare the research for the electrolyzer. However, before we do that, we do want to get into ranching. And since we have the supercomputer set up now, that is not going to be a problem. Whenever my dupes have time, they can dig out this part, because then we have access to a little bit more oxalite that will replenish the oxygen in our base. Oh, Oh, so much stuff to discover. So there's spigot seals and bonbon trees. We're gonna use them later. They're basically used for nectar. And they are the source for plastic later on. And here we have our volcano that we can use for basically anything. Probably power. Maybe rudimentary power with steam turbines. Probably some big boy power with a petroleum boiler. We'll worry about that later. One thing you have to keep in mind is all this oxalite is nice and good, but if your base is so large that the oxygen just goes everywhere but your core base, it's not really gonna help you. But I think, yeah, this is going to be fine. Oh, we can't dig abyssalite yet, so this is out of the question anyway. And sure, I could come in from this side, but for now, I'm not gonna worry about it. We'll probably dig below us first. We want to open this up so the oxalite can already off-gas. We'll definitely have to take a look at a possible water source. Okay, I got a cool salt slush geyser. These are great because they emit brine at minus temperature. This is super good for keeping your machines cool. This is definitely going to be the water source for our electrolyzer setup. The only thing that's remaining right now is rummaging through these and hopefully getting some cool vests out of them. Yes. Oh, perfect. Oh. Did we get this one? No. There's a snazzy suit and 2 warm coats. That is absolutely brilliant. Oh my god, a third one. That's perfect. Because with those warm coats, my dupes are going to be A-okay and shielded against the cold. Gonna take Mima and Lyra. So, sorry Pei, I guess you can take the snazzy suit. It's not gonna help against the cold, but at least you look dapper. Hang on a second. Mima over here has the frostproof trait. So she doesn't actually need a coat, because she's thick-skinned, or where I come from we have a saying, the wicked don't freeze. Maybe that's the case. Anyway, we gotta tell her to take off that coat. Ah, right here in the bottom, unequipped clothing. We're gonna do the same for Pei. Obviously now it's going to drop down. This one's still floating in the air. Warm coat, unreachable, of course. We're gonna equip Pei with that. And that means every single one of my duplicants has a warm coat, or in case of Mima, doesn't care about the cold. So no one's going to have the debuff. Great. So next up, we are going to dig out part of this geyser, because I definitely want to uncover what this is. If you're facing a geyser like this, and you don't exactly know what it is, this is like the 4x4 grid sitting exactly on top of the neutronium. And if you go 1 to the right and 2 upwards and cancel this command, this is the actual tile that prevents the geyser from erupting. And it doesn't matter if it's a volcano, a geyser, or like a slush geyser like over here if it's smaller. This is always going to be the tile that stops them from erupting. But we're not going to uncover everything because we only need to the right side to see what it is. And we can only do this because Stinky has the super duper hard digging trait. In the meantime, while this is going on, I also want to redesign our food area a little bit because I noticed that one of my dupes doesn't even have a mess table yet, so we gotta work on that. Wait, that's... okay, so that's 2, then we're up to 6, means we dig out tiles like this. That will disrupt the Alveo Vera. Dig out that part. This is going to be our kitchen area. I actually don't necessarily need to use wood for this anymore. Alright, so this is going to be how it looks. We are obviously going to add an additional table for Lyra, because at the moment she doesn't have one and has to sit on the ground. Thanks for the demonstration. Like on cue. We're also going to remove this top half, because at some point the wood heater is actually going to heat up the air enough that it might be a problem for the ice. So I just want to get this out of the way. We're also going to have to sort of consolidate all of the ice in one place at some point, just to be safe. Almost there, boys. Oh, it's a carbon dioxide geyser. Well, great. We're not going to have any use for that for a long time, and usually that's one of the more useless geysers, but we can think of something later on for sure. Oh, we found a new printable. And when I say I found, I mean we got one. Okay, interesting. Now, having looked at these three, I don't think I need another operator digger. Digging, decorating doesn't really mix very well, so Devon and Harold are out of question. But Camille over here, she has tidying and decorating, and on top of that, is skilled at masterworks already and has a green thumb. So she could be sort of a hauling, decorating, farming hybrid. And she's nyctophobic, which is kind of funny, because we can just put her bed besides Lyra, I think. And she's gonna be fine. So yeah, welcome Camille to the team. Now obviously we're also going to have to put her in a schedule, and if you're going to be nightlight buddies, you can also have the same schedule, I suppose. We're just gonna have to put down a bed for you really quickly, give that a little bit of a higher priority so it gets done. And we might as well add a mess table as well. Also, we got another skill. Ah, right, Lyra and Camille actually already come with a skill. So, since Lyra is going to be mostly a hauler and operator, I'm going to give her improved carrying first, because she's going to benefit, or we are going to benefit from that the most. And same is actually true for Camille. So let's do that. In terms of priorities, we're just going to tell Camille to not build and dig, and she is going to become my decorator now. She's already a master at it, so theoretically, as soon as we have the chance, we could sculpt some things. Okay, very nice. Alright, I just noticed that we are running dangerously low on calories. Maybe I was a little bit overeager with taking another duplicate in already. So what we're going to do is actually dig up from this side and get our hands on those share berries and pike apples. Since we have access to granite now, I'm not too worried about spending a little bit more material on ladders. As previously we had to use our precious wood for that. Also gonna open up this, and don't forget to set everything to auto harvest. Simultaneously, I think we should also always keep this oxalite exposed, so it successively just emits the oxygen, and at some point we'll be able to move in here without actually having to dig it out. I also just noticed that this Idylla flower doesn't grow anymore because of the pressure. And that has to do with all that carbon dioxide that's still trapped inside of our kitchen and grate hole. So there's not really something we can do immediately. We could open up a tile below and hope that enough carbon dioxide leaves, but I think with our redecorating, redesigning measures right now, this is gonna solve itself. There's also a very easy way inside of here, so why not just take the initiative? Also make sure to auto-harvest everything. I mean, in this case, the Alveo Vera plants eventually will all be halted. Oh, got a new research. So right now we finished everything in preparation for our ranches. Well, I say everything. We don't have incubators yet, but those are not necessarily that important right from the get-go. Let's see what we can research next. Since our next bigger goal is going to be a electrolyzer setup, I'm gonna start researching all the components we need, starting with the smart battery. That can replace our current battery. However, it's not going to be any benefit that it is automated, but it is going to lose less power over time. So there's still a benefit there. Oh, building entombed. We found a story trait building, the Biobot Builder. My duplicants have discovered a laboratory full of dusty machinery, the vestiges of another colony's experiments, perhaps. It is unclear whether the apparatus is intended for biological experimentation or advanced mechatronics, or both. So this building basically combines zombie spores and steel to make little robots that you can send into hostile environments. I'm not sure if we're gonna have too much use for it, but we'll definitely take a look at it down the line. Ah, yeah. Nice. Our calorie intake rises again, or our reserve rise again, since our intake already rose. And another research is complete. Coal generator and wood burner. We can't use either of those because of the super sustainable achievement. Since we have access to some metal now, we could also set up a little bit of automation here to save on a slight amount of power, let's say. And all we need to do for that is go into automation, pick the duplicate motion sensor, and now we have to set it up in a way so it only is in range of those two beds, because there are my nitrophobic dupes. I'm gonna place down a tile for that as well. And connect it to the ceiling light with an automation wire. And that's it. Every time a duplicant, I mean, it's also going to count when they run through here, but every time a duplicant stays in the range of the duplicant motion sensor, it's going to turn on the light. So every time my two nitrophobic dupes go to bed, they will receive the light. Our first bit of automation is done, and therefore we also got another colony achievement. Red light, green light. Automate a building using sensors or switches from the automation tab in the build menu. Perfect. Alright, over here we also have opened another wave to get some more food. I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, no. This unfortunately is not reachable, but we can build a ladder and just make it reachable. There's some more food up here, and also these sort of cracked tiles show that there's a buried object inside of them. If I hover over it, it even says it, buried object. And in those, you often find seeds, but you can also find food in there. So if you're strapped for food, this is also a good idea to just uncover some of it. But keep in mind, the more space you uncover, the more that your oxygen gets diluted. At least if you don't have any oxygen generation yet. And by the looks of it, yeah, we are slowly but surely running out. However, we still have some oxalite reserves because, well, we were very conservative with them. So, as of right now, it's not a problem. Trust me. Also, while we're at it, we might as well complete the barracks right here. A normal barracks can have up to 64 tiles, which means we can fit another 2 additional beds in there. Now that we have access to granite, we don't have to be so conservative with our building material anymore. That Flox just ate something that was dropped on the ground. It fell through the ceiling previously, and now it's just eating all the scraps the dupes leave behind. That's not ideal. But I can't move it out of there without, well, transforming it into meat, so we're just gonna have to accept the fact that it's gonna eat some crumbs. And we finished the construction over here. Nice. So all that's left to do is move the ration box. We're just gonna go ahead and copy the setting over. This is at priority 7, well, the other ones as well now. So we're gonna set this at priority 5, and the duplicants will come along, take it from this box and put it over here. Now we also want to place down an electric grill, because in the near future we are going to have to cook some more food, and actually I think there's a skin for that as well. Yes, backcountry grill. Nice. Let's put that down. Add a little bit of wiring. What I like to do is move it through the floor. Hook that up. And soon we're going to be able to actually prepare proper meals. Speaking of proper meals, I've looked around and I think we're going to turn the upper part of our base into ranches. Now for ranches, you want to take the door into account. What I usually do is go 4 tiles up and then 100 tiles to the left, because most critters, or at least in case of the Floxes, they need 12 tiles each, so you can fit a total of 8 Floxes in one ranch if your ranch is 96 tiles big, and that's what we're going for. Ah, there's wolframite in there, and that's too hard to dig. Well, we're gonna worry about that later. Just gonna close this off, make sure there's no snow coming down. And there we go. That's going to be our first ranch. Oh, we got some research. Now we finished the battery, so let's go straight into low resistance conductors and advanced power regulation. So this is what our ranch is ultimately going to look like. We have a grooming station on the far right, a critter drop-off and a critter feeder. Now the size of this first part is going to vary, and depending on your critter that you ranch. Since we are going to ranch Floxes, they either eat a percentage of a growing pike apple bush or the pike apple fruit itself. Since we can't plant anything at the moment because of locavore, we're gonna have to feed them the pike apple. And since the pike apple is also one of our food sources, I will only have one critter feeder in there to provide that for them. Then we're going to put down a door and a block because they can't jump out of this area. Now they've introduced a queuing system that kind of alleviated that problem a little bit, but later on we also want to move out all the excess Flox fawn eggs, and if they're all in this area we can just simply set up an auto sweeper and that will do it for us in the future. Alright, we got our smart battery, so it's probably going to be time to remove the jumbo. So we're going to dig out a little bit more room over here and put down... hang on. Put down the smart battery there. Also something I've completely forgotten is there is a room bonus for a research lab. So we might as well just place down 2 doors on the left here to make this into a nice room that gives us a bonus to work speed, I believe. And all you need to do for this is have 2 science buildings, which we have, a light source, which we have with the portal, no industrial machinery, and at least 32 tiles. Yep, got it all done. We still have to be a little bit careful with the calorie intake though. If we are going to finish up that grill, we could actually get our hands on some meat. And I think the closest candidate is right over here. So what we're gonna do, give a little bit of a higher priority right there. Gonna dig in here and we're gonna get our first batch of meat from the Spamoth. I just realized I made a little bit of a mistake. Lyra over here is supposed to be my cook and I kinda overlooked it, so I gave the skill point to improved carrying, and now we are going to have to wait until she reaches her next skill point to put her into grilling. So the barbecue is gonna have to wait just a little bit longer. So share berries it is, I guess. Oh, we want to make sure not to let the snow collapse down on us. Another thing we're going to do for the time being, I am going to place down a storage bin in my mess hall, and we're going to collect all the oxalite that drops from Alveo Vera plants inside of our base. Because as you can see at the moment, we're a little low in some areas. So if we have the oxalite inside the base, it might actually have an easier time to spread around it. Also, our smart battery is complete. In order to remove this little icon, we're just gonna put down an automation wire behind it. And we're going to deconstruct the jumbo battery. Also, we have to come in here. We might as well dig this up, because there's some sherberry in here and we desperately need it. And down here, we are going to dig out a little bit more to get access to open areas of oxalite again. We also made way towards the Behemoth, but since we don't have the skill points yet, that reminds me, Mima actually got another skill point. And Mima is actually our rancher. That's perfect. Very good timing. So we're gonna put Mima into critter ranching 1. I think the priorities are already sorted. Yes, they are. Now we're gonna come over here. We're gonna set this to... I think for now 5 kilos is going to be fine. And we're gonna search for... hang on. Since it's Floxes, we're gonna put pike apple. And it's not completely done yet, but overall we're gonna put Flox fawn and Flox in here. Now I said the ranch is going to be big enough for 8 critters, but since we have to remove the eggs manually still, I think I'm gonna reduce it down to 6, because if you don't remove the eggs, they actually count as quote-unquote an additional critter in the ranch, and therefore cause them distress. They get the cramped debuff, and their reproduction speed slows dramatically. So over here we have now a ranch with 96 tiles, which theoretically holds 8 critters, but at the moment we're gonna be satisfied with 6. And we're actually going to have to wrangle some up. So we take the wrangle tool and catch every Flox in our eye line. Actually, I think we can handle 7. Surely I can keep tabs on the eggs. New printables. Now, normally I think I would take either Bubbles or Devon here, because we don't have a dedicated rancher yet. However, we are already a little low on food and oxygen, so I don't think we'll surpass the 6 duplicate mark for a while, and instead just take the rust. Right, back to the evolution chamber. We are going to put that right beside our electric grill for the time being. Later on we're going to have to remove it again, most likely. And all you want to do is basically take and dig a pit, like the CO2 pit. We're gonna have to fill this with some liquid, and since ethanol is the only liquid that actually stays liquid around here, we're just gonna take that from over there. Another research complete. Wattage sensor and some transformers and heavy watt wire. We're not gonna worry about that just yet. Those are all components we need for the electrolyzer setup in the future. And there you go, Mima's already on the job, restraining Floxes left and right. And in true animal lover fashion, she shoves them into a bag and releases them in our nice ranch. So now that it's in there, it can be groomed. Oh, I completely forgot. We actually have to expand this a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Because we need room for a shearing station. Since those Floxes can be sheared for wood. Time for the shearing station. Hook that up. Oh, look at that. We found the teleporter. Now we're not going to be using that for quite a while, because I believe we have everything we need on this planetoid. Hey, pay earned a skill point. I think the next thing is probably field research, because that opens up the possibility to interact with geysers. Oh look, and we found the edge of the map over here. Oh. I think either there's a volcano up there. It might be from the other one. No, either there's another volcano in here, or the map generation failed to spawn another one. Oh, down here as well. So you have to be really careful and sometimes check if something hot is in your way on this map. Over here we're going to build a pitcher pump. Actually, since we have the power here already, why not do it with a liquid pump? Put that in there. Put it across. Liquid went right there. Hook it up to power. And what you can do is leave the last bit unhooked, because then you can sort of control better when it will start pumping in ethanol. Up here we might actually add another manual wheel, because our power demand is increasing steadily. Also, I'm gonna make a box right here. Let's say a couple of boxes. And we're gonna sweep some of the debris out of our core base, because debris also reduces the core value. And those wood tiles actually give very nice decor. Hey, Steve earned a skill point. I think super hard digging might be nice. That allows us to mine abyssalites, so that's going to be the next job for you. And the next research is complete. Let's see. Theoretically we could go for a refrigerator, but since it's so cold in my base at the moment anyway, it's just a waste. Since we don't have a mechatronics engineer yet, automation also doesn't help. Instead, we are going to go into improved plumbing and filtration. Now, last research got us the wire we need and a large power transformer. Storage bins have finished as well. I want to set those to all standard, sweep only. And we're going to give them a sweep command in here. Now sweeping usually is a very low priority task unless you specify it differently inside your priorities tab. So this is just going to be something the dupes will do periodically once they have nothing else to work on. Also, you have to be careful when sweeping your toilets because we don't want them carrying that polluted dirt out of there. So we're gonna cancel the sweeping command at that and also make sure that we don't have polluted ice. It's the same for me. Polluted dirt check marked. That looks good. Continue. Same for polluted water, but we don't have any bottle emptiers lying around. Over here we're also almost done. Can already put a door sideways in there. Alright, all done. So there's a wire behind this and you can simply connect it like so without a duplicate needing to build anything anymore and the machine will turn on. Alright, there's about 300 kilos in there. I think I want to wait until it's about 500 kilos and that's gonna do it. And what you want to do in order to stop this is basically the same in reverse. You take the cutting tool or disconnect tool that has been... Previously it has been a mod, now it's in the game, which is really nice. And you just cut the wires and the pump will stop. There's also more research being done. Perfect. We get the filters and the sludge press, which doesn't do anything for us at the moment. Stinky got a skill point. We'll put him into super hard digging as well. Although, I mean, Stinky is supposed to be my mechatronics engineer. So we want to get as many points as possible into that early on. But I think it's fine. He doesn't need the super duper hard digging point anyway, so we can start earlier at that. And you might as well take the black hat now. Now we are only on 480 calories, so we might want to hurry this up. How is Lyra coming along? Come on, 50 more experience points. You'll get them running this wheel, right? Surely. Come on, this will develop your skill. This is where the character is molded into a perfect chef. There we go. So we're gonna put Lyra into grilling now. She gets a little cute chef's head. Then we are going to attack this mammoth. Sorry, little guy, but I need your delicious meat. And there you have it. 22,400 calories of fresh meat. Now, every time new food sources pop up, you want to look into the consumables tab because you might want to restrict your duplicants from eating this food. Now, we don't want them eating unprepared meat, so we're gonna click up here, and now nobody's allowed to eat meat raw. And instead, we're gonna go down here into the grill, select barbecue, which requires 3,200 calories, of which we have 22,400. And we're going to say forever, and it turns 3,200 calories of meat into 4,000 calories of barbecue, and also gives us a morale boost. This is the main way how we are going to achieve the carnivore achievement. And there she is, working away on our first actually cooked meal. And the first barbecue has dropped. Perfect. Someone is going to eat good tonight. So now that we have access to barbecue whenever we turn our critters into meat, it's going to go much smoother and we can focus on a couple of bigger projects. Who's gonna get it? Who's gonna grab the first piece of barbecue? Oh, it's the chef herself, of course. How else could it be? There you go. Colony achievement earned. It's not raw anymore. I think that's a very good note to end the episode on. We've got our wrench set up with our first couple of Floxes that we already shear for wood. We got a nice laboratory setup, barracks, the Great Owl we already had, but we expanded it a little bit. And we actually accessed a lot of wild plants that we are going to live off of for the time being. I think in the next episode we are going to make a little bit of a pool for the cool salt slush geyser and prepare everything for the oxidizer setup. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Mm-hmm.